problems are just these problems are basically related to the scope of a variable. Okay, so like you already covered that there are three types of variables: your local variables, your instance variable, and your static variables. Okay, so like here in this program, if you will see over there, in this program we have int num1, int num2. Okay, so these two variables are what my instance variable. How can I say that this is an instance variable? Because I have defined these variables, declared these variables outside your public static void main method, or in so we are not basically declaring these variables inside any block. They are just inside this class. Okay, so that is why we call these variables as what your instance variable. Then we call a variable as a static variable when we use this keyword as static. Okay, so instance variables are going to be accessed by only objects. Your static variables are going to be accessed by only your class name. Okay, or if you are working in the same class, then you can directly access those objects. And the third one is your local variable. So my num5, int num5 is my local variables. So why my num5 is a local variable? Because I have declared this your num5 variable inside this method. Okay, so whatever the variable we are basically nowadays we are basically using in our labs, so all those variables are what our your instance variable. No, sorry, your local variables. So if we are going to execute this code, can anyone tell me like what will be the output of this code? Yeah, just think about it. So if I'm going to basically compile and execute this code, so after
So a garbage value will be printed.
okay, so one answer I got that the means it will print garbage value. And what is the garbage value of integer? Yes.
Sir, it can be any random number, I think.
Okay,
मतलब
so
वो जो प्री असाइन तो कोई भी नंबर से कर लेता है ना.
no. Okay, so let's discuss about this thing. Okay, no issue at all. Okay, what about others? You can use chat box. Okay, just try to post your answer in the chat box that if we are going to execute this code. Okay, so see how we are executing this code. Let's first of all just look into that. Okay, because this is a very important program. We have a class. Inside this we have two static variable, two instance variable, one static variable. Then we have one method. In method one we have one variable. So you already know that it will become automatically your local variable. Then we have public static void main method, and inside this public static void main method we don't have anything. Okay, now let's tell me about now what will be the output of this code if we are going to execute it. Yes, anyone? You can just give your answer. What will be your answer? Just think about it and just post your answer in the chat box. I cannot see why you are not basically telling me the answer. Just tell me the answer. So I got one answer is that I will get the garbage value of num5. Okay, so some
So no
like
output.
yes,
No output.
no output. Okay, one more answer I got, no output. One answer I got that I got some garbage value. What about others? Yes, tell me. Others too, please. Okay, so one answer is related to 0. It means that you are telling that it will print the garbage value. Pranay posted it will give us an error. Okay, so yeah, so again Sudhanshu posted error. We will get an error. So let's see what output we will get. Okay, first of all, whenever you are basically executing any code, always remember in your mind. Okay, so automatically how our JVM will execute, our JVM will directly go to our public static void main method. Okay, so in the public static void main we are not calling any method, we are not basically creating any object like that. So you can see directly over there, basically nothing is there inside our body. But as I told you that whenever we are basically we want to execute our program, so it is divided into two phases: your compilation phase and your execution phase. Now here in this code, you can see over there what we are doing it. we are basically printing the value of num5. So our compiler will check all the syntax from top to bottom, but always remember, so what constraint I told you like in the previous lecture is that whenever we are basically using any local variable, okay, always remember, whenever we are using any local variable, then it is mandatory for us to initialize some value. So here we are not initializing any value. See, for local variables, we don't have any means, our JVM is not going to initialize it. Okay. So that is why if I am going to execute the value or print the value of num5 here, if I'm going to write this statement, then I will get a compile time error. And the error which I will get over there is, see, this error I will get that variable num5 might not have been initialized. So always remember that whenever you are creating any or declaring any local variable, okay, right? So in that scenario, it is mandatory for you to basically initialize some value. It will not give you the garbage value. And the second point is related to what are the garbage values. So suppose if I want to print the value of num1, so again, it is not going to give me any output, okay? So instead of system.out.println, if I am going to write num3 over there, okay? Num3 is what? My static variable. And you already know that the default value of static variable, your integer variable is what? 0. Always remember, it will not give you any random value. It will give you only the default specified value. So in Java, for integer, double, float, whatever the data types we have some certain some default values. Okay, so these values are not random. So for static case, if I'm going to write num3, okay, instead of num5, then what will happen? If I'm going to compile this code, then this code will compile successfully. But if I'm going to execute this code, then I will not get any output. Now the question comes into our mind is why we will not get any output? Because we are not calling this method. So automatically it will not call this directly, it will call this particular method, because this method is what kind of a method is this? This is a non-static method. Okay. So in the previous class, I told you that whenever you are creating instance variable or instance method, then it is mandatory for you to call those methods as well as your variables use with the help of objects only. Okay. So this is very important. Now, tell me about the output of this your program. Okay, so in this program what we are doing is accessing a method through class. Okay, so if you want to access a method through class, so in this example, see what I have made, the entire program is same, but inside that thing what I have done, I have made this method. Right now this method is instance method. Now I have made this method as what? My static method. So static methods are going to be directly loaded during your compile whenever we are basically calling that particular class. So we don't require any object, okay, in order to call those particular your static methods. But always remember, whenever you are calling any method, object, so your code will basically going to be started from which place? From your static void main method, public static void main method, and it will terminate public static void main. Okay, so you should have public static void main. So that is why whenever we are writing any or creating any class, so first task is to basically write public static void main, because even though if I'm going to basically execute this program, I will not get any output. Okay, again, so how to basically print the value of this method? So I am going to write main.print_val. So main is my class name. Even though if I'm going to write print_val, it will work. Okay. But why I'm writing main.print_val? Because I just want to show you that static methods are going to be accessed directly by your class name. Okay. Always remember this point. So you will get the output as what your value of num3 is, what your 0. Why you are getting the value 0? Because for static variable, for your instance variable, you will get, if you haven't initialized some value, so you will get the default value. And as I told you that for integer you have 0, for float you have 0.0, for double you have 0.0, For character, you have blank, okay? A space you can call it as, and one more thing, for string you have null, like that, okay? For Boolean, you have false. Always remember, for Boolean data type, you have a default value as false, not true. Always remember this point. Now, if you want to access a method through class, so right now we are accessing a method through class, okay? Now what we are doing, accessing a method through class. So I think I have repeated the same example, okay, like this. What is the difference in this question? Let me show you. Yeah, num3. What is num3? If I'm going to, okay, I have made some error. Now this is the thing, okay? Accessing a method through object. Now if you want to access a method through object, so you know that we required what your instance method, okay? So here in this scenario, what we have some instance method over there. So these methods are what your instance method. So in this particular program, how many methods we have? We have 1, 2, 3. Out of these 3, we have 2 static method and 1 instance method. We can call it as what your non-static method. So if you want to call this print underscore value, okay, well, this method, so it's mandatory for you to create a particular, create an object. So that is why in public static void main, what I have done, I have created an object that is your obj1, and then I have written obj dot print underscore value, and for which I will get the output. Even you, if you want, you can call those static method too with the help of object, while it is not mandatory, okay? Because as I told you, for static method as well as for static variable, you will get a single copy, okay? So that is why, even though you can call it with the help, with the name of object or with the name of class, no need to worry. But the thing is that you will it's not mandatory to call basically particular these non-static method with the help of object, okay? It is not at all required. You can directly call it with the help of your class name, or if you're working in a single class, so no need to basically reference any class name or object name like that, okay? Like this. So if you are going to execute this code, so you can see it over there, we will get again the output, that is your value of num3 is 0, value of num3 as 0, like that, okay? So this is all about this thing. Now we have static variable versus instance variable. So as I told you, so if I'm going to execute this code, so you already know that we have one static variable, one instance variable, okay? Now tell me what will be the output of this code, so that I will understand whether you have understood the entire concept related to your this instance variable or global variable, like that, okay? Just go through this code and just tell me about what will be the output of this code if I'm going to execute this code. And if anyone is having any doubt, you can directly ask me, okay? Please don't hesitate. Just ask me whatever the question you have. Now tell me, if I'm going to execute this code, what output I will get? Okay, so one answer I got, the answer what you said, 200 comma 300. Okay, so one answer I got, that is your 200 comma 300. Okay, that's great. And what about others?
Same, sir. 200 comma
200
plus
comma
300.
Yeah, that's why I just want to give you this problem, so that now you will understand this concept. After this explanation, I will tell you that 100% sure that in future you will not get stuck. See, just try to see the entire code, okay? Whether you will get this output or you will get some different output, like that. Always just try to see it. Whether you will get 300 comma 200, or you will get something like that, 200 comma 300, like that. Yes, any other answer? You can post in the chat box. If anyone is having basically some different answer, you can directly ask me. Yeah. Yeah, for this particular question, what will be the output? Just post your answer. Okay, so I got, I think, one answer. that is 5,300. So Shudhanshu has posted 500,300. Okay. So is there any other student who is getting some different output other than 5,300? Just go through it. Okay. So now why I have given you this particular problem, so that now you will understand the difference between static variable and your what we call it as your non-static variable, or we call it as what your instance variable. See, this is the particular explanation of this particular problem. Okay. So now in this problem, what we have created one static variable and we have created one instance variable, and we have already initialized some value. Okay. So it's up to you whether you want to initialize or you don't want to initialize any value. So if you are not initializing some value, so you will get default values. Otherwise, whatever the value you will initialize it, it will consider it as what your that particular value as the default value. Okay. Now, after this code, what we are doing it now, whenever we are basically creating, okay, whenever we are basically creating any object, so you know that for a particular object, we will get a different memory location. Okay, always remember, for every object, we will get what different memory location. So in this problem, what we have done, I have first created main obj1. Okay, what is obj1? Obj1 is basically referencing my first object. So let's assume this is what my first memory location. Okay. In this memory location is going to be referenced by whom? My obj1 referenced variable. Okay. Now after that, what I have done, I have updated the value obj1 dot num1. So what is my num1? Num1 is my static variable. So I told you that for a static variable, you will have a single copy. Even though you will create a n number of objects, even if you are calling or updating that value, basically you are accessing the single memory space. Always remember this point. But in the case of your instance variable, each and every object will have a different value for what your instance variable. So that is why what we have done, when I have created object one, see, I have created one of object one, I have created object two. Okay, like this. And in object one, what I have done initially, the value of num1 is what? My 5. The value of num1 is what? 5. So, and the num2 value is what? Your 20 initial value. So during initial value, if we are going to create any object, okay, so the initial value of obj1 as well as obj2, because see why I'm just showing this diagram, so that you will understand that you are creating a single copy for what your static variable, but for instance variable, that is your num2, you are creating a separate copy. Now question, then ask me, otherwise kindly mute your mic. Okay. So see, after this, what will happen? What we are doing, we are performing this operation. See, always remember obj.num1. So in the object one, number one, that the variable I am having, this one, I am updating the value of num1 variable, and num1 is what? My static variable. So that is why I will update the value of this num1 as what? My 200, as with value 200. And similarly, in my object one num2, what I am doing, I am printing the value as what? I'm updating the value what? Your 300. But I told you that this num2 is my instance variable, so it will update the value of num2 where? Only in the memory address of what? Your object one. Okay, like this. Now after that, if I am going to print the value of object 2, see, now I am printing the value of object 2 dot num1. So in the object 2 of your num1, what value I will get? I will get the static value. So you know that static value, we will have a single copy. Okay. So that is why I will get the output as what? 200. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen? I will get the value, or if I'm going to print the value obj2.num2, so here I will get this value of what we have initialized earlier, okay? Because this copy which we are basically taking it, we are taking the initial value only. And here we are basically updating the value on that particular object only. So that is why the output which you will get, if you are going to execute this code, so the output which we will get over there is what? 200 and your 20. Okay, yes. Anyone is having any doubt, you can directly ask me, because this is a very important concept. Okay. Yes, any doubt?
Sir, so actually in two objects we cannot use same variable name for two different objects.
No. Basically, you are using a single. See, in class, what we are providing a template. Okay. So, like for your class, for your batch, suppose your batch class, each and every student, what we have provided a instance variable, that is your roll number. And what actually whenever we are initializing a value for that particular roll number, each student will have what? Each student, let's assume each student is an object. So each object will have what? Different value. So if suppose you want to update your roll number, then what will happen? You will surely update your roll number, but it's not like that it is going to make an impact on others student roll number too. Okay, so it is not going to make any impact on other student. But let's assume our class, okay, your batch is what? Your batch number is your static variable. Let's assume your batch number is your static variable. Then in that scenario, if I'm going to change like to batch 1 to batch 2, then what will happen? Automatically all the students, those who are basically accessing that static variable, suppose let's assume static variable is your batch number, so automatically all the students will able to see the updated value of that particular static variable, like that. Okay, so this is the difference between your static variable and your instance variable. Yeah, any questions so far?
So like if we are using two different objects, we cannot assign the same variable name in both the objects for different variable values.
You are basically, see here what you are doing, you are assigning the same variable. So once I have created an object, now automatically what will happen, whatever the instance variable it has, okay, let me show you what will happen actually here. See, whenever let's take this thing as your rough space. Why it's not working? I'm having some issue with my pen. Okay. Okay. I think I'm having some technical issue. Last time it's working. Okay, now it's working. See, what is happening over there? Whenever you are creating any object, okay, always remember this thing. See, this is my class batch, okay. And inside this batch, what I have done, I have created instance variable like your int roll number. I suppose your string name and your static int, suppose int I am using only, that is your some issues with my pen here. Int your what? Your batch number, B number. I'm just writing it as what? Your B number. See, now I have created a class. Now after this, if I want to create an object of this particular class, so how I will create an object? Batch student 1, I just want to write S1, okay, new batch. This is what my first object. Similarly, if I want to create one more object, I will create like this. So let's assume all these are what your students, okay, like similarly batch S3. So see here what I have done, I have created only 3 students for that particular batch. Now after that, I want to assign the values on each particular, because I'm assuming that each object is an student. Okay, so what I will do, I will just write s1 dot roll number. Okay, suppose your roll number is what, something like 1. Then I want to assign s1 dot your name as, like, suppose again like Karthik. Okay, and s1 dot your batch number as what I have assigned as what your, suppose 23. 23 is your batch number. Now after that, I have created one more object, and for which what I will do, I will again create an object. I will use this reference variable, because through this reference variable I will be able to access this particular object. Okay, the value of this object. So for which again I will write s2 dot roll number, and suppose the roll number is 2, s2 dot roll number. Okay, like suppose again Avinash. Okay, and suppose again I will make this batch number as what, my 32. Now how compiler will execute this program. So you know that whenever we are basically executing our program, we have two phases, your compiler phase and your what phase? Your second one is your execution phase. So all these static variables, always remember, during whenever we are loading a class, okay, so those who are basically your static variables are going to be automatically allocated a memory space. So we automatically got some memory space for what, your B number. Okay, so during your compilation time, during compilation, what will happen, we will get a B number as what, our memory space. Now after that, so till now we have no specific memory space for roll number and name. Why we are not getting a specific memory space? Because we will get memory space for these instance variable only whenever we are going to create an object. So that is why what I have done, I have created 3 objects. First one is referenced by s1, second one is going to be referenced by s2, and third one is going to be referenced by s3. So here we have how many variables? Roll number and your name. So automatically we will get only 2 things, roll number and your name. Okay, roll number and your name. I'm just writing R and N, roll number and your name. So 3 copies I will create inside my memory. Now in the memory, what I have done, once I'm going to execute these 3 lines, then automatically I'm going to create 3 copies, and I'm going to use this reference variable in order to track these objects. Okay, otherwise if we haven't got, if I'm not going to write these variables s1, so in future I'm not able to find out where my object is located. Okay, so using this thing, reference variable, we are able to basically track our object, where our object is located. Now initially, once we are going to basically create an object, okay, after that we will, as I told you, we will get a default values. So for roll number, because it is integer data type, we will get 0. Num is a string, we will get null. So in all the value what will have, we will get some value null, 0 and your null. See, in 3 objects, if you are creating 100 object, you will get 100, and you will get only instance variable inside this. Okay, instance variable as well as your instance method. Now after that, what we are doing, we are updating the value of your instance variable. So your instance variable of object 1, which is going to be referenced by s1. So I'm going to write s1 dot roll number is equals to 1. So what I'm doing, I'm going to s1. In s1 I will go to roll number and I will update the value as what, your 1 over there. Similarly, s1 dot name as what, your Karthik. I'm going to update the value with Karthik. Okay, like this. Similarly, what I have done, I am going to also update the value of B number. But always remember, B number is not located inside the memory of an object. B number is located globally. Okay, like all the objects can directly access this thing, and it is a single copy. It is not a multiple copy. Okay, like this. So here what will happen, I'm going to, initially I got the value as 0. So I'm going to update it as what, your 23 now. Now after that, what I have done, I am going to update the value of S2 dot roll number. So I will get the value 2 over there. And for this, I will get the value Avinash over there. Okay, now see, all the objects values are independent to each other. Okay, now in the S3, see, for S3 I'm not updating, and I have also performed this thing. S2 dot B number is equals to 32. So what it will do, it will update the value as what, your 32. So you can see over there, for static variables, if we are basically performing any changes, all the it is going to reflect back in others objects values if we are basically accessing it, that particular variable. Why? Because this is a global variable and having a single copy. But for all these variables, for all these instance variable, what we will have a separate value or separate memory space, and they are independent to each other. So if I want to print the value of s1 dot r, if I am going to write system dot out dot println, if I am going to print s1 dot r, so what output I will get 1. If I'm going to print s2 dot r, I will get the output 2, and if I'm going to print s3 dot r, I will get the output 0 over there. I hope you got your answer. Or any doubts so far again? Yes, anyone?
No, sir, clear.
Okay, clear. Yeah.
Sir, so actually every time we are like putting a new value for the static variable, it is going to update it and remove the previous value that is.
Yeah. Even in this case also, if in future if I'm going to write s1 dot roll number is equals to 2, so it will update, but it will update only within that particular object memory space. It is not going to impact the means memory space of other objects like that. Okay, but for static, because I told you that we are getting only a single copy. Okay, so in a single copy, if you keeps on updating that value, so it is going to reflect back in others, means if other objects or any other variable is if in any other class we are accessing that particular value. Got the point?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay. That's why this concept is very important. Okay, static variable versus instance variable, that how basically memory are going to be executed like that. Okay, now after this, what I just want to tell you, because now you already have an idea about your what are static variables, what are your instance variable. So now I just want to tell you about that that within a program, okay, within a program you can create multiple classes. Okay, always remember this point. Within a program, like in this program, I have created how many classes? I have created 2 classes. But what are the points which we should always keep in your mind is that you already know that we can make a class as public only in that case whenever our class name is what your and your class name and your file name is same. Okay, so you can make only that method name, that class name as what your public. But if I'm going to make 2 classes what your public, okay, and if I'm going to execute this code, always remember you will get an error. Okay, you will get an error because in a program, if you are going to create several classes, there are no limitation. Okay, in a program you can create 5, 6, 10 classes, no issue at all. But always remember this point in your mind is that you can only make 1 class as public. Exactly. Okay, sorry, at most 1 class as what your public. Even though you don't want to make it public, it's fine. Okay, but always remember now if I'm going to execute this code, let's see, and you will get the output. Okay, so right now I'm just telling you this thing. Now the second thing that comes into your mind is why we are not getting the output hello over there. Okay, how? See, so during compilation everything is okay. Why? Because we have created multiple classes, that is okay, but out of which 1 class we have made at this class as what your public. Now after that, what we are doing it, we have made 2 method as what your public static void main method. But whenever we are executing this program, why we are getting only hello word? Why we are not getting this hello? Okay, so always this point is again very important. So the reason why we are not getting hello over there, because whenever you are basically creating, okay, whenever you are basically after compilation, whenever you are generating a your what we call it as your bytecode, so you know that we always get what file, what kind of file is extension. We always get your dot class as what your file extension. Okay, so after this thing, after in your bytecode, we got what your dot class file. So when you made a class as what your public, then it can execute only that particular class public static void main only. Okay. So if we are basically calling this class, okay, from outside this class, you can call it, no issue at all. But it is going to execute only this public static void main, and after this, it will automatically terminate the program. It means that during execution part, it will never ever going to execute this public static void main method. And the reason is that because we are not calling this method inside this method. Because as I told you, like in the previous example, is that your JVM will always look for what your public static void main method. If your method is there, then it will execute that particular code like that. Okay. So now what I just want to show you over there, let's assume I want to make a class as a static class. Okay. And let's make this class name so that we will have no ambiguity like that. Okay. Like hello, HEL, hell, for example. Hell is what my method name of this particular class. Now I want to print this method, this class name. So how can I print it? So for that, what I will do, I will directly call this class name hello. After that, I will directly click dot, and I will directly call this method hell over there. Okay. Now, once I am going to execute this code, then how my compiler will execute this code? So for compiler, everything is fine. But if you will see over there that how my basically your this thing will work. Let me void. Just check here. What static void hell? Just wait. Huh? What error I'm getting it? Type not allowed.
So println doesn't return anything.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Because sorry, I'm again calling that print system.out.println over there. So that is why I'm getting that error. Yeah, I got it. So what I will do, because I'm again returning, because system.out.println, it will return some value. So that is why I'm getting an error. So here what I will do, I will directly write hello.hell, because in hell I'm already having a statement that is what your system.out.println. So how my JVM will execute this code? It will directly go to your public static void main, and inside that thing, it will go hello. So it will automatically load this class, okay, during JVM. So JVM will load this class. So it will load this class, and once it will load this class, so as I told you that all the static elements will get uploaded during whenever we are loading that particular class. So it will automatically load this class. So during loading time, it will load static variables as well as the static method. So automatically we will get hell. So if I'm going to call hello.l, so I will get the output, and the output which I will get over there is what your hello over there. Okay, so it means that we can write multiple classes, okay, in a single program. Always remember, always keeps in your mind like that. Okay, it's not like that in a single program you can write only single class, but always it is advisable, it is recommended that you should write only, create a single class, okay, for a particular program. But sometimes there are some scenarios where you want that you should go for multiple classes. Then in that scenario you can create it. There are no errors in Java. But one more thing which is keep in your mind is that you cannot make more than one classes as your public. Okay, otherwise you will get an error. Okay, so these are the points related to how you to create multiple classes, how to call that particular method, and even what I can do if I am going to make this class. Okay, now what I have made this method as what my instance method. So now if I'm going to execute this code, so I will get an error. So why I will get an error? Because now I have made this method as what my non-static method, and now I am calling this method using with the help of my class name. But as you already know that you can call that particular method only with the help of object, because this method is a non-static method. Okay, so that is why what I will do, I am going to create an object of this class. So for that, what I will do, I will write hello obj. You can use any variable you want. Okay, and after that you will create an object that is what your hello. So what I'm doing it over here is I'm creating an object of what your hello, and after that if I'm going to write obj over there, now see, now what will happen, now I'm creating an object, so it will automatically allocate some memory space for that particular object. And if I'm going to execute this code, so now I will get the output as what my hello. Okay, so always keep in your mind. So what are the points which we have learned for the using this example is that in a program you can write several classes, no issue at all. But it will but always keep in your mind is that your one of the class, only one class can be your public class only. If you are going to make other classes as public, you will get an error. Second point is very important, that is like it is go if you are having multiple classes, so which class it will execute first? So the class which is public and the class which is containing your public static void main. So it will terminate only once after we are going to terminate public static void main method, and automatically what will happen, it is going to terminate our entire program. So that is why what will happen, like in our first case, like I have shown you, whenever I have just written like system.out.println, so at that time it is only printing the value. So if I'm going to execute this code, so you can see it over there, I will not get any output. Okay, I will not get any output. Why? Because here in this case we are just executing this class, we are not loading this class. So during class time, whenever we are basically converting into your bytecode, so automatically what will happen, it will consider this as what your only, it will make a dot class file or byte code of this particular file like that. But once if we are basically calling this class somehow indirectly with the help of object or with the help of your this thing, so automatically what will happen, at that time we are going to load this class, and for that we will create an object and all. So any question or any issue regarding your multiple classes if we have in a program? Yes, anyone? Having any doubt? Yeah, you are free to ask me if you have any doubt related to that. Okay, so this is all about your when you are basically going to create multiple classes. Okay, so always keep in your mind whether your method is a static method. So for static method we don't, so why we are making, now you have an idea about why they have made this public static void main method as what your static method, because you don't require to call this method. So now otherwise if you are not going to make, see, if we are not going to make this method as your public static void main method, so now what will happen, because so what will happen during compilation time, okay, after compilation time, what I said, that all the whenever we are basically going to load that particular class, all the instance classes gets uploaded. Okay, but here in this case what will happen, this particular class, so that is why I just want to show you, because this concept is again very important. So if I'm going to write this thing, okay, like this, if I'm going to write public class main, and if I'm going to just write public void main like this, so you already know that, I think all of you have already know that the output which you will get over there is what, you will get an error. Okay, and the error which you will get over there is what, it is related to your main method is not static in the class main. Now always remember this point is that this error is a runtime error. This error is not a compile time error. Always remember this point. Okay, why this is not a compile time error? Because according to our compiler, this thing is correct, this syntax is correct, and the way we have created a method, okay, even this method is again correct. No issue at all, everything is fine. But But during JVM, okay, once JVM is going to execute this code, so as I told you that JVM will always look for main method. And using this method, because we haven't uploaded, okay, because we haven't uploaded this public static void, because this main method during your compilation time, or whenever basically we are loading that particular class, then what will happen? We will not able to access this main method, and hence we are not able to access this particular method. Then our JVM will say that main method is not static in class main, so please define main method. So that is why, because now we are not creating any object. See, without object, if we want to access that particular class method, then we have to make that method as what you said. So that is why we are making that particular method as your what your static method. So that is why whenever we are writing public static void main, always remember that static is mandatory. Even all these components are mandatory. Okay. So if you are not going to write it, you will get an error. Okay. Like this. So the last concept, and in the next class or in the tomorrow class, we are going to discuss about constructor. Okay. So as I told you in the last class, like what do you mean by method overloading? The same name having different signature are known as what your method overloading. Okay. So I think let me show you whether I have written any program based on that. No, I haven't written, but I can tell you about this. So see, method, the compiler must be able to determine which version of the method is being invoked, like this. So these are the basic concept regarding your method overloading. So, but the thing which you keep into your mind is that they will have a different signature. Okay, always keep in your mind that a method which is having a different signature is known as what your method overloading. And I told you that what do you mean by method signature? So see, let's take one example. Suppose if I have created one method, so you know that how to create a method. So if this is mandatory to have some return type value. Either you want to write void, it's okay. If you want to write int, it is okay, but it's mandatory to write something like that. Okay. So these two methods are what my instance method. Always remember why these two methods are instance method, because these methods are they don't have contain any static keyword. Now after this thing, the name of the method is try me, and here I am taking only one argument. One argument I am taking. Here I am returning the value, some whatever the business logic you want to perform, you just performing this thing. Now after that, what I have created one more method. Okay, always remember, I have created one more method, and the name of method is again try me. See, the name of the method is again try me, but here you have a different signature. Signature means you have different arguments. So here you are taking only one argument, and that argument which you are taking it as what your integer data type. And here you are taking what two arguments, and one is your integer and second one is your double. It means that now you have a same name but different what you have different what we call it as your a signature. Okay. So whenever you are going to invoke that particular method, okay, so how you are going to invoke that particular method? So right now I haven't written this thing, but you have to create an object for that. So for example, I will create an object of this particular class. So suppose obj.try me. So whenever I am going to write try me over there, always keep in your mind. So during compilation, so always remember this thing are going to be invoked during your compilation time. Whenever you are writing it, you are not going to basically execute. So we will see the difference why it will always execute it during a compilation time, not during runtime. So during compilation time, it will directly call this particular method. Compilation time, always remember, okay, because our first step is your compilation. So automatically it will invoke this particular method, and you will get the output this thing. If we are passing only one argument, then in that scenario it will invoke this particular method. So this concept is known as your method overloading. It means having the same name, okay, but different signature. So whatever, if you are having different signatures, so you will directly call for that particular method. Okay. So it is very useful in the concept of polymorphism. So right now I'm not going to talk about what polymorphism is. So this is again a very important concept of Java programming language, which we are going to discuss it later on. Okay, so right now just try to understand this point is that method overloading is that whenever you have a same name having different signature, signature means different arguments, we call it as what your method overload. Okay, like here in this case, so I have created three methods over there having the same name. You can see it over there, but having the different signature. Always keep in your mind, sometimes a student get confused. Okay, we are passing single argument here. So whether it is a same signature or different signature, here again it is a different signature. Why? Because here you are asking for integer value, but here you are asking for your double value like that. Okay, so that is why what we are getting different signature. So if we are calling first, so it will directly call your first one. If we are calling 1.0, it will call this one. If we are calling 1.02, so it will call this one. 1.2 again it will call this one like that. Okay, because automatically it will convert it into your double and like that. Okay, so that is the reason you will get, and it will we call these such kind of scenarios at what your method overloading, and it is very important in your Java programming language. So suppose if you want to create a method having the same functionality, generally the example is area. Okay, so if suppose if you want to create a method name as area, okay, so you know that if you are calculating the area of circle, so what I want, it will go and it will take only one argument, that is what your radius only. Okay, if I want to calculate the area of your what we call it as your rectangle, so I will take int a or int b like that. I'm just giving you an example. So why we are using C, so that we will understand, okay, area is a method, we are calculating this method. And we also don't want that, okay, for area, for circle, we want that it should execute this code. For a rectangle, it should execute this code. So that is why we have created a different signature for that. Because we want that our method's name should be meaningful, okay? So we always want that it should compute area. So that is why I have used this name. Okay, so we are calculating the area of all the structure. So that is why we just want to make something in different. So how we are going to do it with the help of these your different parameters. So this is all about our today's class. So in the today's class, what we have learned, what are your instance variables, static variable, your local variables, all these things we have learned. And then we have discussed about that what are your instance method, your static method, then what is your method overloading. Okay, all these concepts. Now I'm going to end this class, but before ending this class, I just want from you all to just tell me what will be the output of this code. And if you are going to tell me the exact output, then I will understand that, okay, now you know the concept of the entire topic of instance, static, and whatever that is. Just take your time, sorry, and I'm going to end this session. Yeah, just go for it. Just see each and every line of variable very carefully. Okay, don't just say, okay, we have two variables like that. Okay, just go through it. We have static variable, we have instance variable, we have one method. Okay, all the things, just try to see and check each and everything very carefully. Because using this example, I'm 100% sure if you will give me the correct answer, I will assume that all of you know, now all of you know the entire concept of your Java programming. I'm going to zoom this thing so that you will see the entire code. So yeah, this is the entire code. Okay, just post your answer in the chat box, so I will understand whether you are getting the correct output or not. Just post your answer in the chat box. And if you are saying that we will get an error, so you can directly say you will get an error. Okay, no issue at all.
Can you show me Frogna once again?
Yeah, I'm just showing you.
Can you please show the?
Yeah. Just take your time. No need to hurry. Okay, so that you have to solve within 2-3 minutes. Just take your time.
So 2 and 3.
Okay, so I'm most
Yes,
of
sir.
you
2
are
and 3,
saying
2
that
and 3.
2 and 3, 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
So is there any other student who is getting the different answer? Just let me know. Okay, please don't hesitate. If you are seeing that, okay, we will get a different answer, so that's okay too. Okay, so I will tell you about why you are getting an answer so that I will understand that what.
So 2, 10.
Okay, so I got one more answer, that is 2, 10. Okay, so I'm just writing the answer. One answer I got, that is 2, 3. And one answer I'm getting 2, 10. Is there anyone who is getting some different answer, or is there anyone who is thinking about, okay, we will get an error? Just tell me if you are going to execute this code, whether we will get an error or not. Okay, just take your time. Just please visualize see the entire code. Okay, so those who have solved, that's great for them. But for those who are not able to basically find out that what will be the output, go through each and every line and just try to figure it out. What output we will get. Because this is a very important concept, and 100% sure that if you know the difference between static variable, instance variable, as well as how we are creating an object, how your local variable perform, how your static variable perform, what is the scope of that particular variable, you will get the correct. Yes, any other questions? So sorry, any other one who is getting some different answer? So all of you are posting except one answer I got, that is 2, 10. Yes, Sudhanshu, any doubt?
So I was asking,
No, sir, no
can
doubt.
use main and new main both will mean the same, or it will show error at new main?
Okay, yeah. Ananya has asked me one question, that whether we will get some error or not over there. So that is why I have written this statement over there. So you will understand one more concept. I will tell you about this thing. No need to worry. So basically, you know what this new main will do. You know the functionality of new main, Ananya? Yes. What this new main general, what we are doing it, why call it, if I'm going to write
Creating object.
what we are doing it, we are creating an object. Okay, so let's see what output we are getting it. So I'm going to execute this code, and the output which we are getting it over there is what, 2 and 3. Now how we are getting 2, 3, it's very important. That's why I just want, so those who got the answer, that's great for them. Okay, so it means that now they know the entire concept of these instance, local, as well as static method, objects, and all those things. Okay, now so see, whenever we are going to create this class, so we have two variables. Okay, so generally we call these variables as what, your global variables. But out of these global variables, we have made this variable as what, your static variable, and I have made this variable as what, my instance variable. It means that this variable I am going to be accessed by only class name, and I can access this object only with the help of object. Without object, I cannot call this value of I. Now after this thing, so as you already know that whenever we are going to load a program, I am just going to tell you about how our compiler will execute this code. So compiler will basically try to execute this code. After that, it will load the entire class. So what will happen once it will load the entire class? So what class we have, it will load the main class. In the main class, what it will do, it will load what component? Your static component. So automatically it will allocate a memory for integer. Okay, integer a over there. And do we have any other method? Yes, we have main method too. So it will automatically load main method too. Okay, during loading time, whenever we are going to load a program like this. So now we have a memory for this thing variable, and you know the default value of integer a is what, your 0. Now after that, what we are doing, we are going to call this method, and inside this method during runtime, okay, now JVM will execute this code. Now JVM will check and load this particular method. We'll look for main method, whether we have main method or not. That is why I said that it's mandatory to write public static void main. Why? Because during static, it will load this particular method. So JVM will say, okay, yes, I am having this particular main method, and it will go inside this public static void main method. And over there, when you will see over there, then what it will do, it will create a variable a is equals to 2. Now always remember this a and this a both are different. So this a is basically what our static variable, okay, and its scope is our entire life, entire class life, and this is known as what your local variable. I have created which variable? Your local variable over here. Even though both of them are having the same name, you can see it directly, okay, but you can see it over there. We will have a different copy for that, and the value of this local variable a and the scope of this variable is limited only to with this public static void main method only. Means after this thing, if I am going to print the value of somehow, if I am using the value of a, so at that time I'm basically accessing the value of this static value of a. Now the thing is that which value it should print. If I'm going to write system.out.println, which value it should print, whether it should print the value of a, that is of static a, or your local variable. Always keep in your mind is that even though if you have multiple local variables in your different nested block, the block which is very close, okay, to that particular your local variable value, it is going to print that particular local variable. Okay, so always remember that local variable will always win if they have some variable name conflicting. So here we have name conflicting, okay, a and a name, but we want to print a system.out.println the value of a, so automatically it will give the priority of this a only. It will not give the priority of this main your a value like that. Okay, so that is why what will happen, you will get the value of a is equals to 2 over there. Now this thing, you till now you have executed this code like that. Now after that, what you are doing, you are creating an object. Always remember in mind, because even if you will go through some resources or some your books, so sometimes a student gets confused and they will say that obj is an object. And I am again repeating that the object which you are creating is using this statement. Okay, using new main, what you are going to do, you are going to create in the heap. Okay, always remember in the heap what it will do, it will automatically create an object, and the object will load. What are the things it will load? It will load instance value. So instance variables. So how many instance variable we have? We have only one variable over there, so automatically it will take only I over there, and we have already initialized the value as what your 3 over there. Okay, like this. Now after this thing, what we have, and we are creating a reference variable of this class type. Always remember this, that obj is a non-primitive data type. It is not a primitive data type. Always remember this point in your mind. Okay, so that is why in obj what will happen, it will point out the address of this thing like this. So I told you, I show you like day before yesterday or in the last lecture, I show you that okay, if I'm going to print the value of a, so it will give you what, some hash value. It means it is storing some address value. Now after that, if I want to access this object, okay, so now I am having this postman. I just call this obj as what, my postman. Now using this reference variable, I can directly track this particular object. So that is why what will happen, if I'm going to write obj.I is equals to 10, then what will happen, it will go to the obj address. Obj is storing the address of this particular object. It will go and check whether this I variable is there or not. Yes, I variable is there. Then what it will do, it will update the value as what your 10. So that is why you will get the value as what your 10 over there. Now after that, once you are going to write this statement, system.out.println, but here what you are doing, you are writing new main dot I. But so what I told you, that how this statement gets executed, it will first create a different object. Okay, so in the heap, again in the same heap, what it will do, it will again create an object. Okay, and this object is having what, this object is again having the same variable, only one instance variable, and the value it will take it as what, your 3 over there. Okay, now after that, if I'm going to print the value of new main dot I, then what it will do, it will print the value of I over there. So for this object, what is the value of I? So the value of I in this object is what, your 3. So that is why the output which you are getting it over there is your 3. Now, one more concept which I just want to tell you over there, why we are not writing directly like this thing. Okay, so if I'm going to write this thing, can I update the value later on? Okay, no, I cannot access this statement. So that is why in Java, whenever we are creating an object, we always use your reference variable. Why we are writing it? Because if I have created this object, okay, now I have created this object. Can I access this object after this line? Can anyone tell me that? Is it possible to access this object after this line? Anyone? Just tell me whether we will be able to access this particular object or not. So we cannot access this particular object. Always keep it. Okay, so we cannot access this object later on because we don't know the address. And if you don't know the address, how can you access this thing? So that is why I told you about the garbage collector thing. Okay, what is the concept of garbage collector? Because garbage collector will understand that now you have created an object, but he is 100% sure, okay, that you are not going to access or execute or basically update the value of this particular object. Okay, like this object you cannot basically use in the for your future use. You cannot use it. So what it will do, automatically it will delete this object after some time. After this statement, automatically what it will do, it will delete this object, because our garbage collector is having an idea that okay, you cannot use this object, I'm 100% sure. But for this, if I'm going to create this thing, okay, so it will not delete this object. It will delete the object only once we are going to terminate our entire program. But during our program execution, it will not delete this object. Why? Because our garbage collector will see that okay, now it might be possible that we might call this particular object because we have an address of this particular object. But if I'm going to just write it like this thing, so after this line, just after this line, okay, just after this line, what will happen? My garbage collector will see, okay, this object, now you have created an object, but this object you are not going to use in future. You will never able to basically access this particular object. That is why automatically in the memory, okay, in the memory, it will delete that particular object. So that is again a very much means the major advantage of your Java programming language, that our Java programming language is having your garbage collector, because see, it is managing all the garbage, because now after this this object is again a garbage. Garbage is what? The thing which we cannot use in the future. Okay, so similarly we cannot use it later on. So that is why we have a garbage collector, and it will collect it and it will throw out from our memory. Why? To increase the space complexity of our program, like that. Okay, so this is all about our entire concept, and I hope that you will understand each and every concept. So that is why I'm giving you all the permutation and combination, that what output we will get if we are having a fight between static variable and local variable, which variable will win. Always try to remember that local variable will win. Okay, so that is why Java programming language is very interesting. If you will go and try to analyze each and everything, you will find out, okay, it's very interesting how. Always try to think it in such a way that how they have created this thing, why they have thought of, okay, there should be a main method. Like these such kind of questions should come into your mind. Okay, why they have made this thing, why they have garbage collector, why. So that is the beauty of Java programming language. Because see, right now we have several other programming language, but see, at the time of 1991, or you can say that 1995, it's like publicly like very popular, your Java programming language. But during that time, you have only basic programming language like C and C++. So like James Gosling, which is the main person who has, and his team basically worked, and they have created this entire programming language. So see, it's very interesting the way they have created this your Java programming language. Okay. So how they have basically used some features of C and C++. It's not like that they have everything is novel. It's unique. See, in C++, you also have class and all these concepts, method, functionality. But the way they have written this entire programming language, they make it this programming language so popular. Like as I told you, like platform independent, like they can work on different platform. Okay, you don't require a single platform. So see, at that time, if someone is thinking of like, okay, now you can work on different operating system, no need to worry. So that is a major advantage at that moment, at that time. Now we can think about it, okay, the application should run on different operating system. But at that time, the way they have basically solved that particular problem, that how to make our this Java programming language as what, so that it will work on different programming or different sorry platform. So this is the solution they have provided, like bytecode, like this. Okay. So this is all about our today's programming, our today's lecture. So just go through it, and if you are facing any difficulty, just let me know. Okay. Later on, we are going to discuss about some other concepts. So in the next lecture, we are going to start your what we call it as your constructors, because constructors are again very important in Java programming language. Okay. So thank you all. So is there anyone who is having any doubt? You can directly ask me. Yes, anyone?
Sir, I had a question.